What's happening, party people? Welcome to this week in review. The last video was like 2 days worth of work. That's the same with this video because I'm doing so much every day with this Resto-Mod. And in this video, we actually took a break. We were notified that there was a vehicle close by at the salvage yard that had some desirable, very needed parts for, I guess, the community. So we took a break one day, went out there and got those parts. Now, man, I am still at home. I was supposed to be gone a couple of days ago. Uh, I may leave this afternoon. I don't know how possible and realistic that is, but I still got to put the rest of this car together. Most of the stuff on the top half. Oh, I'm in the process of an engine swap on the 850R. Gentleman had his car overheat. I'm not sure if it locked up the engine when it overheated or not, but the engine was locked up when we picked it up a couple of days ago. I'm supposed to be out west right now. I found out that my next stop doesn't have the parts that they need to complete the task at hand, so they got to get those parts in. I don't always control that. I try to encourage people, when you order parts, you know I'm coming to help you. Open the box to verify that all the parts that you ordered are in there and correct. One of the, I guess, worst experiences for one of my customers, supporters, they say it was a worst experience because they left this big old long nasty message on my on one of my videos, or a couple of them, is when people don't have their parts. When I get there and you don't have the parts to do the job, you got to order the parts and I got to wait for them or something like that. Well, I'm really not in the financial position to sit 2, 3, 4, 5 days waiting on you to get parts in. I got to go make money somewhere. So I got there, did some work, didn't have all the parts to complete the task. He said I thought he had them, maybe misplaced them. Contacted them to order the parts. They said it'd be a few days. Didn't want to pay me, how much I need to make each day for me to wait for the parts. So I had to bounce. I went back by there. 8, 9 hour drive from home. A few months later, said he had the parts, got there, didn't have the parts. He had maybe half of the parts that was missing. Well, at that time, I had to be somewhere for a personal reason, and that personal reason was my daughter was getting married. I'm not going to miss my daughter's wedding waiting on parts for you and working on your car. It just doesn't make sense. So I bounced again. So anyway, I said all that to say this. Unless you're prepared to pay me to sit in a hotel or wherever I'm sitting at to do work on your car, please have your parts ready, because I don't always have the opportunity, like I do in some places, to bounce around from, supporter or customer to customer while we wait for your parts. That would be a hostage situation. I've said that in the past. And in some of these towns and cities, I just don't have enough people there that I can switch to while you wait for parts. Like a couple of times, even here, I'm at home right now, had to order parts kind of overnight to try to get this done quicker, because, I really can't sit every day and not work. Right now, I'm at home, and as most of you know, I work outside. I don't have space in a garage to work. The ceiling in the garage is kind of low. I really probably couldn't do much work in there, even if I could get a car in there, because the ceiling is so low. I'd have to take a hood off or hard to jack cars up, stuff like that. But anyway, I'm restricted sometime by weather. I got rained out 2, 3 days in the last week. It almost rained half of yesterday, and I worked a little bit in the drizzle, but that's not a great work environment. But I do what I got to do. So anyway, Hopefully I'll have this car running here in a couple of hours. Pack it up, maybe get out of here. Because my next stop doesn't have the parts, I'm got to do something else in the meantime. Hopefully it only take a couple days. So that's where I'm at. Hey, I appreciate everybody's support. I went from having the worst month in Patreon the last month to this month having the best month in Patreon. So that's kind of a yo-yo situation. I had a supporter, I guess, did a one-time donation through Patreon, which was great. Now, when I started my Patreon from a request from viewers a few years ago, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my goal was to get 100 subscribers, supporters there. And right now, I think I have 99. I still don't have 100 subscribers in 4 or 5 years. It's kind of a weird thing, but hey, I appreciate the ones that are there. Thank you very much. It enables me to do things like get tools and stuff like that. I got a couple of tools recently. Mita even got an etcher. She's going to etch my tools, so if we're working together and you have tools and I have tools, it'll be harder for them to get mixed up, stuff like that. So, man, I'm getting ready to head west here in the next couple of days, so be ready. I'll be out west, plan to be out there a few months. I get, a couple of messages from people that are frustrated. Okay, so people don't watch all the time. A couple years ago, I went and picked up lemonade from the Seattle area. I was in the Seattle area 3 weeks. Went to the Portland area. Was in the Portland area 3 weeks. Went down to the Bay Area. Yada, yada, yada. On and on. Right after I left that Seattle, Portland area, I got a message from somebody in Canada that is, hour or two from Seattle, whatever it is. Hey, I need some help. Man, I just spent a month and a half in your area. Well, in 2 months, that'll be 3 years ago. So I get a message on WhatsApp a day or two ago, kind of like a complaint. Hey, I thought you were coming back to the area. I've been waiting on you for 2.5 years. Okay, so you got one or two things. You got a lot of options. One, you can send me a ticket and I'll jump on a plane, come out there and help you. I've done it before in that area. 2, you can ship your car to me. 3, you could use the videos, fix your car yourself. 4, you can wait like some people do because they want to hang out. They want to get the work done right. They want to get it done at an affordable rate. Man, I don't think I should apologize, but when people don't watch the videos and they miss me when I come to, it happens all the time. I leave Chicago, been in Chicago for 2 weeks. 2 days later, I get a message. Hey, do you ever come to Chicago? My reply would like to be, hey, did you ever watch my videos? I just spent 2 weeks in Chicago telling people I was in Chicago every day. But you don't watch the videos, so you don't know I'm around the corner. So there you have it. So, I wish I could, but I can't. If you're waiting, hey, man, I appreciate you waiting. I'd love to help you, but try not to get pushy on me because it's not speeding anything up. It's just not. So it's just you getting frustrated and projecting that frustration onto me that I'm doing my best. I can't take everybody's frustration. People ask me why does my voicemail work have space in it, because the previous business I was in, people used to leave me these aggressive, frustrating voicemails about something not going the way they wanted to. And through a voicemail, they can express their emotions even more. So I just shut it down. My voicemail's been full about 13 years now. So that's that. That's where we're at. If I could, I'd get out of here this afternoon. Today is the last decent day of weather here in Cincinnati. Tomorrow is supposed to get down to like 44. Tomorrow night is supposed to be in the 20s. So I need to get out of here, man. I have no desire to be here. So that's what's going on. I appreciate everybody watching. I'm about to head west. I hope you enjoyed today's clips. Working on this 850 Resto-Mod. And hey, I've been adding things to the website daily, adding a couple of items. I got a lot of things in my storage and around here that's not on my website. So if you need a part, feel free to contact me. I probably have it. And like I said, we're building the inventory on there. So if you need something, you can just jump on there, click. I'll get the message. I'll package it up, ship it as soon as I can. Usually I can ship by the next day. It's a little one-man helpful used parts department. Don't have a salvage yard. I'm paying storage on these parts that I'm sitting on, so they're not free. A couple of things I still sell real cheap, you know, $3 here, $5 here, $10 here, but for the most part, if I got to run to the salvage yard and get something, it's probably going to be $25 at minimum. That's the only way it's worth my while to get in my car and go somewhere to grab some parts. So that's where we're at. I appreciate everybody that support financially, support with their prayers, support with viewing. And hey, maybe within the next year, I'll hit 250,000 subscribers. I see that I'm at about 240 right now. So I crossed another slight milestone, but 250 is going to be an exciting number to hit. So if you share the video, let people know to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please do. And I'll try to keep some decent content coming your way. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Man, summer is hanging on around here. I actually locked this car the other day because I'm so close to having this thing running. Oh, central locking works. That's awesome. Last thing I did was install the gauge pod a couple days ago. That thing didn't paint up as nice as I wanted it to, so I'll probably touch that up. Another thing I did was lean down and cut the top of my head open on this radar detector thing. I'm so used to having a certain amount of clearance when I drop my head down there to look under the dash. I couldn't adjust for this inch or 3/4 of an inch, whatever it is, and that thing cut the top of my head open. Ouch, that freaking hurt. So today I have a few things I need to do to get this thing started. Number one, I need to bleed the clutch system. Number two, need to make sure the brakes are bled. Number three, need to add coolant, bleed that system. Number four, need to add oil in the transmission. Number five, I need to add oil in the engine. Number six, I need to connect this turbo piping. Number seven, after I get the turbo piping connected, I can put this piece on the top of the engine that holds the relays in place. Number seven, need to put the air box and that stuff in. Number eight, I need to install 2 axles. Number 9, I need to install these things under the headlights. We call those lower eyebrows. Number 10, need to either remove this film or put fresh glass on these headlights. This headlight actually looks like it's a little defective. This one looks fine, so I'll probably at least replace that headlight. And I think number 10, I need to service the AC system. Number 11, need to hook up the bumper, install the bumper on there after I test drive it. 12, need to purge the fuel system so I can start the car. 13, need to install the B pillar. 14, need to put a piece of an A pillar in place. 15, I need to put the lower dash in. 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever comes up after that. But I think I'll actually crank and start this thing today, so let's get started. I'm gonna start out by servicing the transmission. To service the transmission, you need a deep 22 socket to remove the reverse sensor. Add transmission fluid until it comes out of the upper service hole on the side of the transmission, or it comes out the axle holes. I learned that that's the same angle, pitch, or whatever you want to call it. So let me go ahead and do that. You need a 22 millimeter deep socket on there, or you'll mess up the switch. I'm not sure if this 7/8 will fit on there or not. We'll try that. If not, we'll go grab the 22. All right, got the manual transmission fluid added to the transmission. And, oh, I don't have the light on. And if you see in there, the level is right at the axle seal. So that's full. We're gonna go ahead and move to the next step. I have not hooked up the line yet for the master and slave cylinder, but I want to get any old brake fluid out of here. Look how orange that stuff is. That stuff is pretty much supposed to be clear. So I'm gonna siphon that out with this turkey baser, drop it in the container and dispose of it. And then I'm gonna add in fresh fluid after I hook up the line to bleed the clutch system. I didn't check the water content of this. Not sure where my tester is. I don't want to take time to go find that. But you want to change your brake fluid every couple of years. Test it when it gets more than 2-3% water content. It needs to be replaced because that lowers your boiling point for your braking system. And it has moisture in there where you can generate rust in your braking system, so you don't want to do that either. So let me go ahead and change this fluid in this reservoir and bleed the clutch system. As you can see, new brake fluid is pretty much clear. You don't want that yellow stuff, but again, you could test it with a brake fluid tester. And on these cars, you got to fill up that hole in the back. That hole in the back is what feeds the clutch system. All right, so now that that's full, I'll let it settle, fill it up again, and then I'll cycle clutch pedal through. I opened up the bleeder screw, and when I start getting fluid out of there, then I'll start opening it and closing it to bleed the last bit of air out of it. Because there's air all the way from the master cylinder to the slave cylinder. That takes a while to bleed out. Power bleeding gets it sometimes, but not always. Let's get with it. Try gravity feeding that thing, bleeding it for about 10 minutes. Didn't seem like I was getting anywhere. I put the power bleeder on there. Man, less than 5 minutes. I got a stiff pedal and fluid running out into this bottle here. So I kept letting it run until it cleared up. Now I'm pumping the pedal a few times, 5-10 times, and then cracking this by hand, see if I get air out of it. And when I quit getting air out of it, I'll close it up. I'm using this, I guess it's a 2x6 and a wheel chock to keep it pressed down while I come and open up the bleeder, see if I get the air. As you heard, some air came out. I'll go pump it 10 more times and test it for air again. And I'm making sure that's staying near the full mark. The clutch system is bled. Man, I had to bleed that thing about 25 times before it quit hissing air out of it. So be patient. Make sure you get all the air out of it. You don't want to be bleeding this thing again in a few days. So next thing we're going to do is lubricate those coolant lines that go to the heater core and plug those in. You don't want to do that dry. The seals and everything stayed in there, whoever unplugged it. It's not uncommon for somebody to break this junction when they unplug those lines. So I'm definitely going to be checking that for a leak when I fill up the coolant system here in a few minutes. Let me lubricate those and plug those in. Oh, before I move on, I'm going to take some of this brake fluid out, put it back in my container because I got another one to bleed here shortly. I'm going to take it down to the maximum mark. That chamber back here for the clutch system kind of has its own reservoir. So if the brake system is drained, that little section back there for the clutch system stays full. So it is possible if you get a clutch system leak for the clutch system to leak all of the fluid out of it and you still have brakes. This lets you know that this reservoir has a chamber in it that's pretty much separate. I'm not sure really how this reservoir is. I guess it has a couple of chambers in there because I think that center section is down a little lower than this section. It is above the max mark. And when I put the cap on, it doesn't come over the max mark. So you want to leave a little bit in the center so that it's halfway up that access door. So there we are. We got that done, and I'm going to show you inside that this pedal returns. I probably should have returned it before I did that, but it is bled. 1, 2. After 2 pushes, it returns. So there you have it. The clutch system is bled. Once you break the seal on brake fluid container, you want to use it all at one time. And if you don't, you take some that you didn't use that's still clear in your bleeder or something, put it back in there. You want to kind of date that because you don't want to put old brake fluid back into your system because it could accumulate moisture while it's sitting on the shelf. Once you break that seal, you want to test it for moisture content or just throw it away after 2 years if you don't use it all. And as always, you want to wipe your tools down, wash them down so that so that they can look nice and clean for the next time you go to use them. Especially brake fluid stuff. You don't want that leaking on stuff and eating it up. Brake fluid will eat right through a rooftop box like I have over there on my wagon. Ask me how I know. It's happened several times. I had to repair the box because I put a leaking brake caliper or something up there. All right, I'm going to put this away and get on that coolant. I knew Mita made a box for this thing to store it in, but I didn't know she had a plastic liner in that thing. That is awesome. And it's got a moisture absorbent pad in there. So there you have it. Go ahead and put this away. Wow, I didn't realize it's almost 2 o'clock. I just was notified that lunch is ready, so I'm going to break for lunch and come back and get on this coolant system. Uh-oh, got a couple packages in the mail. I got this DeWalt. Is it a wet dry vac? 4 horsepower, quieter motor, 6 gallons, 3 times the lifetime to do a review on. That's the model number there. I'm going to start taking more of these companies up on reviewing their products, and if I get things duplicated that I don't need, I'll throw them on my website for sale for $1, and somebody can pay the shipping and have a nice product like this. I got some other package from Washington State. I got to see what that is. So we'll do that after lunch. Unbox this thing. Well, folks, here it is. Zip it. I forgot I ordered this thing. This is my first TikTok shop order. This is a book about speaking words that you can't retract. And it says that your words have power. So this book is kind of a 40-day challenge to get your words under control so that you don't speak negative things into your life. And let me go ahead and open this. So this is a vacuum cleaner, as most people would know, as I mentioned earlier. Now, when I bought a vacuum cleaner a few years back, I wanted a shop vac. However, life's on a budget, so I wanted to get the biggest bang for my buck. And I wanted to make sure I had one that had sufficient vacuuming power so that I can suck up everything that the vacuum cleaner would reach. I wanted to get like a 6-gallon one, but man, the 6-gallon ones were 80 bucks and the 16-gallon ones were 30 bucks. So when the 16-gallon ones went on sale, wet vac, I opted to get that a lot cheaper. Man, I've seen one of these before. My friend has one in Vegas. I really like these vacuum cleaners, and this one says it's a quieter functioning vacuum cleaner. I'll probably buy car adapter kit for it because it probably doesn't come with that. That's a wide floor piece there. You got your what feels like a heavy duty hose, man, and it's pretty long. That's gotta be a 6-foot hose. Let me see if it's taller than me. Man, that thing reaches the ceiling. That's almost a 7-8 foot hose. Looks like it has hose adapter. Another hose adapter. Yeah, you can reach some spots with that. And then of course the vacuum cleaner. Now a lot of people don't use these to blow, but they suck and blow. You hook your vacuum cleaner up to that side, it should suck closest to the switch, and while it's sucking, it's blowing air out of another port. Well, maybe this one doesn't blow. Maybe this one only sucks, because I don't see an exhaust port to hook a hose up to. Alright, so we're going to call this a vacuum only and not a blower. So my other ones I use as a blower. Let's open it up. Probably has some more things inside. Oh yeah, it's got some more adapters inside. It's got a crevice tool, a little wide, but that's good for vacuuming in corners. Has a filter already on it. Maybe some kind of carrying bag. This is a vacuum cleaner bag for it. Wow, that's nice. I think a wet vac little filter thing. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's attachment to get in between the two hoses. It's got casters, 4 casters, and it's got a hard floor adapter. So that's what we have here. This is a vacuum, not a blower. I'll use my other 2 machines for blower. You know, I have like that one, maybe 1.5 gallon, 2 at the most, my Milwaukee vacuum that I travel with. Then I have my great big orange vacuum cleaner. I forget what brand that is, but I'll compare the noise of that one to this one and this vacuuming sucking power between the two and let you know which one kind of works better. So we'll do a review on this soon. Time to get back to work. Back from lunch, it is time to lubricate those lines and plug them in. Cross my finger and hope for the best. Well, so much for fingers being crossed. That lower coolant hose is leaking pretty bad, so I gotta pull that hose out of there, make sure it has all the seals. If it does, I need to replace the firewall junction. That was the only seal that came out. It's supposed to have a rubber seal, plastic ring, then a rubber seal. At a minimum, maybe plastic ring, rubber seal, plastic ring, rubber seal. So I'm looking for a firewall junction to confirm that. Yeah, I have a firewall junction here, and I dug these seals out of it, and I got a spacer, a seal, a spacer, and another seal. And I think that is what's in that firewall junction. So if that's the case, that firewall junction is probably cracked, but Let me try to dig in there with a small screwdriver and see what I can get out. I got one seal out, but heck, I don't know if I pulled it out over the rest of that stuff. Looks like the firewall junction is damaged, so I need to find a new one or a good one. I think I have a new one around here somewhere. I went to check this one out, pipes and stuff. It looks old. Then I thought maybe this firewall junction is good. So I went to pull this out, and both of the screws that secure it to the firewall's busted. So that's not going to work. Let me look in a couple of my boxes, see if I have a new one of these. I think I have a new one of these units, and proceed to install that. Since my firewall junction's bad, I'm going to bypass the firewall junction for now and move forward. Try to get this car started and test driven today. So I'm not sure which one of these wheels is leaking. If it's the plug or if it's my bolt. So I'm gonna put an extra washer on my bolt. I just realized that I can't do that. So let's try that. All right, I don't see any more dripping going on. I put an extra washer on the turbo side of the banjo bolt, which should not affect the flow of fluid through the banjo bolt, because the banjo bolt, in reference to the pipe, is at the same depth. So as long as you don't put more than one washer on the head side of the banjo bolt, you should be good. So I think the pipe has a neck on it, kind of like a collar. And I think that collar was hitting the grounded down bolt that I put on there, and it wasn't letting the pipe sit all the way against the crush washer. So anyway, there's a couple of crush washers there. I did find my new firewall junction, so after I get everything squared away, I'm gonna put a new firewall junction on it. But for right now, I'm trying to get this car started, running, and test driven. So let me keep moving forward. I'm gonna fill up the coolant system the rest of the way, and then I'm going to put oil in the engine, and then I'm going to hook up these turbo pipings, and then I want to put the axles in and fire this car up, see if I can drive it. I got the coolant full. I'm working on getting this intake pipe on. You got to take the PTC valve out of the normal pipe. It has a lip on the bottom side of it. You have to grind that lip down so you can put it into the snap piece and then put a clamp on it. I had an Oak Lear clamp the right size, so that's what I did. Now I'm gonna put a clamp here, slide this on the turbo. I'm gonna cap this here. Then I'm gonna work on putting a filter on the end of that. Unfortunately, time has expired. It is after dinner time. I'm wrapping it up. I cannot believe I didn't get this car started today, but I spent a lot of time chasing coolant leaks. Wish I'd have had a 90-degree elbow for this air filter, but we'll see how that turns out. And we're gonna keep moving. Time to get cracking. First thing I'm gonna do, replace that firewall junction, because I found a new one. I'm gonna get this thing started here in a couple of hours. Very easy to assemble. It had a packet of screws in there. They're Phillips screws. I flipped the machine over, as you can see. Set the wheel casters on there, and they screw in very easy. Screws are in. This machine feels heavier than my 16-gallon rigid. There's the specs there. So we're gonna untie the cord, hook up the hose, and see how it vacuums. These are the attachments that came with it. Probably has a car attachment kit that you can purchase with it, so we'll check on that. Plugging it in. It looks like it's already on. I guess that's off, and pushing in the O would be on. Plugged it in, and it is very quiet. I think the suction is louder than the motor. I reached for my firewall junction can't locate it right now, so I'm not gonna let that slow me down. I'm gonna move on, putting on the air filter, and then putting oil in it, then axles to get this thing started. Put the air filter on. Air filter is not quite sitting the way I'd hope with this 45-degree elbow. I got a little kink on the underside of it, so I ordered a 90-degree one. Come up, turn 90 degrees. So that should be in tomorrow. But in the meantime, I could keep rolling. It also has everything off of the shifter cables. I always wanted to make sure everything stayed off of that. I was thinking about taking the air box and cutting a notch in it for this to sit and rest in, but I may be good to go. Let's move forward. I'm going to hook this hose up here. I got a 45-degree to that. Hopefully that'll be fine. Let's go ahead and hook this up. Make sure nothing's down in the tube. I got the throttle body intake tube on and secure. I secured the PCV hose on top. Next, I'm going to install the plugs and wires. I said cap and rotor, but I meant cap and wires, so they are installed. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on this thing. Let me find that and screw it on. You know, I consider this project here what we call Resto-Mod, restoration and modifications. However, the buyer is rushing me along. He's telling me it's taking too long. He doesn't need the car to drive daily, but he wants it because he put a deposit on it and paid for some modifications. So instead of letting me push for the absolute best quality job that I can give, he's pushing me to be complete. So instead of doing A+, you get completed work. So now I'm installing screws that look like this instead of cleaning screws up or being able to look for all of them that look like that. All right, another issue with this aftermarket Kanagawa turbo. If you look down there, all looks well. However, when I put the OTE charge pipe on there, the silicone hose fills this gap between the OTE exit and that little screw on the wastegate actuator. So I can't get the clamp on the tube properly because it's hitting that screw. Can't get it down on there. So I'm gonna have to cut that screw off, maybe a couple threads, 2 or 3 threads off of it, so I can get the tube and clamp to fit down in that space. More fun. I have the OTE pipe on. I have the fuel line secure here. I need to secure them down there. Look for the heat shield for the turbo. I got half the heat shield on. And I need to put this piece on that goes over the fan that holds the relays in place. Got the relay holder piece installed. Man, that was tight. Got to put the screws in it. Then I got to run this vacuum line over here. I think this is to boost. The cruise is already connected. I put a purge valve in here. I couldn't find the one that went with the car, so I grabbed one that went with a newer car, but the plug was different. My parts car had 2 plug adapters, so I used one of those plug adapters for that. So now let me run a vacuum from here over to my vacuum tree. Well, lunchtime is over. However, Mita wants to go look at a truck. She wants a truck. I told her I'd get her a truck to drive up here. Or I don't know why I told her that, but I did. So she's been scouring. What's that website called? Facebook Marketplace. And man, there are a lot of Volvo XC90s between $4,000 and $5,000. So we're going to take a break and go take care of that. Get back here and finish up. This thing is so close to running, it's a shame. I need to put a charcoal canister in it that's missing. Hook up the vacuum lines to this purge valve. Service the engine with oil. Top off the coolant. I don't think this coolant's leaking, but I thought I had more in that a little while ago. I hope that's not leaking. I don't see any leaks anywhere. I had leaks yesterday, but not today. Need to put 2 axles in it, and it should be ready to fire up. So that's what I'm working towards this day before it ends, and we'll flash the tune and should be able to take it for a test drive. We'll do that when we get back. Instead of replacing these headlights, I decided to get my heat gun and remove the film from them. And that's the after look. So just a little bit of heat. The film peeled right off. Didn't really have any residue on it. And it's getting dinner time. Still got a few things to do. But I'm going to call it a night. Shut it down. Well, folks, I will be literally shocked if this car is not started and driven today. The main things I need to do is put in the axle on the driver's side, hook up the anti-sway bar end links, replace the firewall junction for the coolant system, which doesn't really have to be done to drive the car, but it should be done. And that should be it. So we should be starting and driving this car today. Oh, adding oil. You do want to add oil. I'm not sure what this is. This looks like another coolant leak. This will really suck if this is a coolant leak. I don't see any coolant leaking from up above. So what I'm going to do is wipe this down. Hopefully it was a leak from the back side of the engine and I moved this over here. I'm going to wipe this down and come back and check it in a couple of hours, because if it's a coolant leak on this side of the engine, it's either coming from the radiator or the thermostat housing. Now I put a good thick Volvo thermostat housing thing on there, and look here, this radiator is wet. I don't know if that happened somehow. That would really suck if this radiator is leaking, which it looks like it is. Wow. I'm gonna dry that off and see if coolant comes back on that. It's a good thing that it's not leaking from thermostat housing. That normally leaks down here on the oil filter. So let me wipe this down and see if this leaks. If it leaks, I'll replace it. I have a very good one in my storage, and that would suck. So, radiator leak, man, that would suck. Do 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 do. All right, let's come back in a little while, see if that leaks. We'll kick off the day with this firewall junction. So let me lift this hood the rest of the way up. This is normal position. I'm gonna put it in service mode. Service mode. And let me get that firewall junction replaced. Well, I almost forgot that this battery's been hooked up for several days, but for some reason the battery is drained. I don't know what's draining the battery. I decided to check it and possibly charge it because I am going to be flashing a tune and you need a good strong battery, and it says this battery is down. So I don't remember leaving the ignition on or anything like that, but I'm gonna put my charger on it. leave it on there until I'm ready to tune it and test it again. It is now 8:57, so let's get this charger on here. Then I'm gonna go inside and start ripping that heater core out after I get me a plastic bag. I don't usually charge the battery with it hooked up to the car, but let's see how this works. In here to do the heater core and a little bit of extra fun. It has the R power amp for the radio, but it doesn't have a OEM radio, so I don't know if this is hooked up at all. But we got to remove that. Panel on the other side is already removed, so it should be easy. So let's keep it moving. One of the issues with these vehicles is the heater core. They leak. This one is dated 11 years ago. I'm gonna contact him, see if he wants to put a new one in here. Actually 11 and a half years ago. If he does, he'll pay for the part. If he doesn't, I'll put this one back in. Doesn't have any evidence of leaking. So, and we'll move forward from there. I'm also gonna send him a message, see if he wants a new radiator or a used radiator. He'll have to pay for a new one if he wants a new one. I have a used one that's not leaking. Well, after about an hour, there is liquid coolant dripping on the ground from the edge of this radiator, so I need to get a radiator and replace it. This thing's been on the charger for 2 hours, and to me it doesn't seem like it's doing much. And I've had the kind of mental theory that leaving it hooked up to the car and charging the battery is not as good as the battery being charged with the battery out of the car or disconnected from the car leads. So I'm going to test this battery and see where it's at. If I don't have 80 on it, I'm gonna pull it out of the car and charge it. And we're back up to 100, so it charges fine, connected. I'm gonna leave it connected to the charger and just let it trickle charge on there for a few hours just to give it some kick. And I just found out that some very rare parts showed up at our salvage yard semi-local, so I'm gonna shut this down, head to the salvage yard and pull some parts. I hadn't heard back from the buyer yet whether he wants a new radiator or not. It's making a nice little puddle under there. So I'll probably end up picking this up tomorrow. Well, we are keeping hope alive out here. I don't know if you see that next white sign down there about 140 yards. That's where we're headed. Then we'll go deep into that. Keeping hope alive. We are just grabbing valuable parts from this Volvo 850. Man, the dash is a little rough. At least the airbag is. The rest of it looks good. And run it through the gears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reverse. Probably good. Somebody put screws up there, so that boot clip is probably busted, but hey, it's worth it to us. So we're gonna keep checking parts. One thing we found is that they put the car on the subframe on the other side. I might be able to get it off of this side, so we're gonna get to work getting stuff we like to get. Man, that thing has a nice hood blanket. Pretty good shape. It also has this piece here that a lot of cars are missing off of that. And oil block off plate. Let's grab that. Harmonic balancer is cracked, so we'll leave that. I'm gonna bust these CV axles loose. It looks like that hub was pretty new. It's shiny anyway. Maybe not new, but definitely not original. Well, we're done. Didn't have time to do a clip leaving the salvage yard when we got done right at closing time. So we had to throw everything on the carts. We had 2 carts. Get that stuff to the register, cash out. We're in the car getting ready to leave. So, got it. About to try dragging China Chinese food close to the LKQ, about 1 mile away. It's got a 4.0 rating. Let's check it out. This place is definitely in the hood. Dayton, Ohio, close to the Salvage yard. They have signs saying out of order on the bathroom, but they actually work. I think they put that there so people don't have to use the bathroom. But the inside is a little rough, as you can see. Egg rolls like a 2. It don't have enough filling in there. Too much egg roll skin, whatever you want to call it, dough. The orange chicken is amazing. I was gonna get this place a 2 to like hit that orange chicken. That is amazing. The rice is good. The broccoli was good. The food is good flavoring. So dining in is meh, but hey, I feel like we're in the hood. But the food is good, and they seem like they're making it fresh to order. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.